Welcome back to the Two Luckies podcast and the continuation of our series, Dyin
Cryin
and Lyin,
Lyin.
where we revisit a beloved childhood show, Little House on the Prairie, and talk about how different it is for us watching it as adults. And we found out that all of their plots seem to fit into three categories:
Dyin
Cryin
and
Lyin.
Lyin.
So here we go. We're going to start with
Episode 1.
the official episode 1. We already did the podcast. This is the official episode 1 of Little House on the Prairie, A Harvest of Friends.
So let's get to it.
Yes, we start out with them space barring across in the introduction with the music. We see them going across like the Oregon Trail, and there they go across the land way up high on this ridge.
Yep, and then we see that they're all living in a root cellar.
They're living in a house dug in the ground, and we see Pa up on a hill shaking hands with somebody.
While the middle child, Laura, is kind of giving a narration about this whole situation. And she really wanted to know what they were talking about, just that they looked, talked, look some more.
And then we see a handshake. And then Pa comes down and says to Ma.
Actually, before he came down and said to Ma, he said to the man he was up there with, Yep, this looks fine. I think we'll take this. Well, listen, think it over, talk about it, take the night, let me know in the morning. And what does Pa say?
He says, nope, I'm ready right now. I'll sign the papers tomorrow. We're home.
Yep.
Or something like that.
We're home. So then he goes and talks to the family and tells them, unload the wagon.
And then Ma says, we're home? Question mark, big hanging in the air question mark.
We're home.
So did he ask anybody what was going to happen? No. And we do need to remind you that there is no electricity at all. Electricity has yet to be invented at this point.
No electricity, no utilities. If you want heat, you go out and cut as much wood as you can by hand.
And when you need water, you take a bucket and go out to the creek. If you have to wash your clothes, you're going back to the same creek that you got the water from yesterday or today. They make their own clothes from, fabric that they buy out there. This is all a hand-on operation here.
Right. So pick it up from there. We're home.
All right.
Next thing we see.
So the next thing we see is that he went in, he signed all the paperwork with Hanson, and he's going to work all day to earn the wood so that he can pay for the wood. And I think the property too. I'm not really sure how clear they were on that. And then he's going to build the house at night by lantern light.
And all the while, they're still living in the root cellar.
Right, and when the pilot, he needed help to build this little shack thing, but this is a much larger house with a lot more features, and somehow he was able to do it after his day job, at night by lantern light, while doing all his chores on the farm, all at the same time. He's Superman.
Yep, and then one day, this house appeared.
Right, so now they get to move in day, and he picks up Ma, and he brings her across the threshold, and the kids come in and say, can we make our beds? Tell me about the beds.
Oh, you're going to love the beds. First of all, they have to climb this ladder. It's not a staircase, it's a ladder.
Yes, it's just a ladder.
And it's right by a stone fireplace chimney combination.
And they live in a loft that's behind the fireplace, and there's no walls on either side of the fireplace. So you can see them when you're in the dining room, common
fireplace
room
is central
area. Right. The fireplace is right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, so let's get up to the loft. Okay, here's a loft that spans the width of the house. You would think there's 2 kids up there, 2 beds. Wrong. 1 bed.
1 bed, 2 kids, and enough room for probably 3 beds if he really wanted to. He probably built the beds himself. But what does he do? He builds 1 bed for 2 kids upstairs, 1 bed for the little one downstairs, and 1 bed for the mother and father to sleep in together.
Yes, and also, too, did you ever notice their bed? He had the headboard that looked like he made and had all this intricate carvings on it. Not to mention the carving CI plus CI on the mantle over the fireplace.
Yeah,
How much time did all this take?
Well, he had time for all of that, but he only made 1 bed for the
Right.
kids. Maybe their sheets were only one size and they just had to go with
So
what they
Laura's
had.
happy they had their very own window.
She's happy about the window. Mary's happy that the rain won't be on their head anymore. And Ma is happy about glass windows.
And a proper floor. She had a wood floor.
She had a wood floor. More to clean. There you go. She's also happy about the fact that he gives her a key. And this is where we get to the first incident of lying.
Yep. He hands her the key and she says, oh, good. I won't have to be afraid of the wolves anymore. And what does Pa say?
He says, never knew you were afraid of the wolves. And she says,
yes. Oh, I was afraid. I just didn't say anything about it.
Lies of omission on this show are lying.
Lying. There's her first one.
So now the house is built. They're moved out of the dugout house and he's all ready and raring to go. This is going to be a farm. So he gets ready to go he's going to make his own harrow and he has to get a plow and seed, which he has to buy.
Yes, plow and seed, enough for 100 acres.
Enough for 100 acres. And how much money does he have?
We have no cash.
None. He has zero cash, but he says,
don't worry.
Don't worry.
Work it out in town.
Don't worry, it's fine. So he goes to town with a pep in his step. He's got his shoulders back. He's feeling good about himself. He's going to go get him all the stuff that they need because they're going to make this work here.
So this is where we're introduced first to the Olsons as he enters the mercantile. And first he meets Mr. Olson with that pep in his step.
Right. So he goes up and he says, I need a plow and wheat seed for 100 acres. And now Mr. Olson is like, oh, that's great. And then he finds out that Charles has how much money?
Listen, I have no money, but I pledge a share of my first crop.
Now, this is something that's in the future that may or may not happen. There's no guarantees for crops. And this is months away. So he says, we can't extend credit. And Mrs. Olson comes in.
Yep, and she says, listen, do you know how many farmers come in here and promise that they're going to pledge shares of crops and run up all these bills they can't possibly pay for and then skip out in the middle of the night?
And then Mr. Olson explains that the mercantile needs money from their customers so that they can buy their supplies to be able to have something to sell to their customers.
Yes, so right away he gets pissy.
Pissy?
I had no intention of skipping out in the middle of the night. Oh, Mr. Ingalls, please. I understand. Slam out the door.
Well, before he said that, though, his policy was cash on the barrelhead. But somehow his cash on the barrelhead takes a dive someplace whenever he doesn't have money. Then it's okay to have credit. But even the kids aren't allowed, we find out later on. Yep. The kids are cash on the barrelhead. So he's all dejected, slams the door, he leaves, and he sees something.
He leaves. He walks across the street and sees the feed and seed. Now, this is an interesting place. It's a long building, and on your left side, the whole roof is caved in. So he walks over, he's looking at this plow. The guy's sitting on the front of the building.
Yeah, he's like drooling on this plow.
Oh, isn't this nice? Then walks over and looks at this, what's left of the roof, and starts pushing on things. And then we get introduced to Mr. Liam O'Neill.
Right, who I think we only ever see in this one episode. Yeah. But O'Neill is over there, and he's a wheeler and dealer of a kind, and they strike a bargain.
He says, listen, I need a plow and seed, enough for 100 acres. I don't have any money. But I have something that you need more.
Know-how. Know-how. He's going to trade his know-how for something, and his know-how is, I'm going to fix that roof.
I'm going to put a new roof on here.
And so Mr. O'Neill says, well, who's providing all of the supplies for this? And Charles says,
well, you are.
Right. So this guy says, well, I need to sweeten the deal a little bit because this is a little unfair. I only get the repair and I have to supply all of this stuff. So he says,
I have a whole shipment of wheat grain coming in. I'm going to be needing that stacked and neatly too.
And this is a lot of stuff.
You'll find out soon.
Every day a guy is dropping off this whole delivery thing.
Yep. And I'm going to need all this done in 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So he just met this guy with the plow, just made instructions, and the guy says to him, I see you're working over at the mill, because he's still working over at the mill to pay for the house that they're living in, right? He's paying back the guy with work, and here all of a sudden he says, oh, I already worked it out. When did you, is this lying? I call this lying.
Yeah, how did you work it out? How are you going to work over here and then work at the mill? Oh, I've already got that worked out. When'd you do that? We never saw you talk to
You just came up
the
with
mill
this
owner.
deal just now. Like we were just watching you come up with this deal. When did you just like blip over there? Did you like? How did you communicate
I
with
think
him?
what really happened was he just made this deal on the fly, and then he was going to go over on his way to the mill and then try and explain it all away. And we find out later in the series, anyway, young daughter Laura kind of did the same thing
Yes, we'll
in a
find
different episode, but the apple didn't fall far
far
from
from
the
the
tree.
tree.
So guess what? I'm going to call that one
lying,
lying.
because when did you make this arrangement? And if you're making the arrangement after the fact, then it wasn't made before the fact, which means lying. So he got his word, he pledges. Now they make this deal because the guy says, okay, stacking the grain, fixing the roof, that's not enough for O'Neill. He needs something else. He needs some kind of an assurance. If you don't get this work done, I'm going to do this chattel mortgage, he called it.
Yes. He says, to make the deal final, I notice you got a strong pair of oxen over there, so I'll tell you what. You sign this chattel mortgage, and if you don't get this done in this promised amount of time, then the oxen come to me.
Now, this is a signed legal document. He has made a 3-week commitment to do all of this, or if he defaults, he loses the oxen, which are essential for the operation of a farm. This is important for later.
So he signs the paperwork, all is done, okay, and then he goes about his business. Now we get to where he's back home talking to Ma.
And what does he tell her? There's nothing to worry about. I'm going to call this lying because really she was right to be worried. This was a lot of work because not only did he have to do everything that he was supposed to do on the farm, he was going to be working 2 jobs at the same time. He was going to be working for the mill in the afternoon. He was working to fix the roof and stack the grain on a daily basis, 6 hours in the morning, 6 hours at the mill. He has to walk back and forth to and from these places, which seemed like it took a considerable amount of time. And he needs time to eat, and he needs time to sleep, and he needs to do all of his chores and the stuff to get the land ready for the seed that he's earning by
Ma's
this
not happy
trading.
about this. She says that's too long to be walking around in your sleep, as she put it. Oh, don't worry. It's only for 3 weeks. It'll be fine.
Well, he says it's only 12 hours a day. And she said it's more like 15 when you add the walking and the eating. And that was that even including the stuff he had to do at home? No. And he's getting home where it's almost dark and he has to like harrow the field. They run this thing behind the oxen. It's like this wooden thing, like
first
skids
he's
over the
plowing
dirt.
the field, and then he has to do
No, he's
that,
earning the
but
plow. He's harrowing the field
he got
first.
the plow right away. They actually show him plowing the field.
So when did they repossess the plow? They only took the.
They never talked about the plow being repossessed. It was just the oxen.
I missed that. All right, so he's telling her there's nothing to worry about, plenty of time. Meanwhile, we're looking around this house and he's like, oh, there's only a cupboard and a couple of shelves left. He's got a whole wall where you see twigs and like mud showing. And where's the plaster? Maybe it's still at the store because it sure as heck isn't on the wall.
Quality issue? Maybe. But let's go forward.
So now here we are unsure whether or not Ma has actually been told about his signed document that he would give away the oxen. And this is something that comes up later. So it's no rest, only 3 weeks. I can do it. And she says, you know what? I believe you can. And we do believe that she believes it. But really? Like, really?
So
we get to his
moves
first day of doing this arrangement, and he's rushing in with the milk bucket. What does he say?
Oh, no breakfast for me. I got to get going.
So what does she do? She says, no, you can't do that. She wraps up some kind of food in a towel, sends it out with him, and then immediately finds out he forgot his lunch. So what does he do? Who has to go?
The middle child, Laura. Quick, Laura, catch your father.
Catch your father outside. He forgot his lunch. So she runs outside. She catches him and he goes, oh, I forgot my lunch. Did he think he was going to do all this work 15 hours with no food? I mean, really, like he's lying to himself here.
Okay, so he actually does it. You see him working on the roof.
Well, no, before that, he's walking and we get the first encounter with the doctor.
Doc Baker.
Doc Baker's broken down on the side of the road. Why?
because he didn't swell the wheel to keep the metal band around the outside, and guess what happened? The metal band popped off.
Right. So Charles comes up and says, well, I can fix it, because he's ready to fix the whole world now. He's got his toolbox and he's ready to roll, and he's going to fix this wheel. And the doc offers to pay him. But did he pay him? No, because Charles says,
No, I don't need payment. Glad to help out. How about just a ride into town?
yeah, so for
That'll
a
do.
ride into town, we know they need money. A ride into town, he's just going to go. He fixes the wheel, gets a ride into town, and then finds out that the doc already knows like half of his business, and the doctor says something like word gets around faster than spat, and they do mention rim job, but we're not going to get into that because that's another story. So he gets to the roof.
Yep, so we get to the roof, he's working on the roof, and he's actually doing a good job on the roof.
It looks pretty
And
good.
then he's going over to the mill, and he's working at the mill. Now we get to Sunday, the Lord's Day. They're Pa's getting ready to take him to church. Okay, let me just go in here, sit down on the bed. Next thing you know, he's passed out cold.
Right, because this arrangement has been a lot for him, a lot more than he expected. He's working a ridiculous amount, and he's counting the days already at the end of the first week to when he can stay home.
That's right. Pa says that after the 3 weeks, he's looking forward to the day where he can just finally stay home and work the farm. This is important.
So he's counting down the days. He gets dressed. They all already looks and finds out that he's asleep. So they go to church, and now we get our introduction to the Reverend Alden.
Reverend Alden, who's given the fire and brimstone speech about how you need to come to church, and I see a lot of wives sitting out here without their husbands.
Now, I want to take a break for this and say, when we were kids, we felt like all this was regular stuff. Like, I felt like all of this, like, he was so, hard working for his family, and he was going to go above and beyond to do everything that they need, not realizing really how much work was being done by the kids and his wife at home, and realizing, like, all these little dynamics that were happening that now as adults we're looking at this, and we know we're in a farming community, and Reverend Alden is really hard on the fact that all he sees is wives and children. Where are the husbands? And he's pretty much says, like, God's going to punish them for not being here.
Yes, so now they're walking home from church, and they're having the conversation about his pa a sinner because he didn't go to church, and what does Ma say?
Ma says, oh, no, no. Pa's not a bad guy, and like this we're doing all this stuff. God understands that he's tired. He's just so tired.
He's worn out. That's why your father's resting. And there's the middle child, Laura, goes, there's Pa over there.
Right, and what is he doing? He's plowing the field.
He's plowing the field.
He's plowing the field, and he's got a pep in his step, and he's all rejuvenated from that nap he just had, and she tells him that it's sacrilegious. So now here we go. It's sacrilegious for him to miss church when he had enough energy to be plowing the field, and he says, well, God understands farmers.
That's right. And then she storms off, and she's mad. She's mad. You should have gone to church. And then they get to that evening. There they are laying in bed, and she's
got the
still
Bible
mad.
open, and she's brimming with that pissiness.
Charles looks at her and says, I'm sorry. And what does she respond with? You should have went to church.
Yes, but not only that, here's another lie, because he tells her they're a week into this. The worst part is over.
Yeah,
the worst part is over. What do you mean?
But hold on. Then we get to this part which just says, listen, it's not church. I'm worried about you. You're wearing yourself out. Now, wait a minute. You just screamed at him that it was sacrilegious, that he should have gone to church.
No matter what.
Now you're worried about him? I'm going to call a
lion. Because really, which one is it now? Make up your mind. It's either God's going to come out with a lightning bolt and go zap while he's plowing, or like, this isn't really that big of a deal. You just look exhausted, and, that's all it really was. Make up your mind, woman.
Okay, so we move forward in it. He's still working. Now he's got the roof done. All but finished. You see him putting the sign back up on the building.
And we find out that he's paid off his lumber bill. At the end of the day, he will actually have earned a whopping 50 cents.
50 cents.
50 cents.
To which the mill owner there then said, listen, Charles, I'd really like it if you can come work for me half days in the afternoons. And what does he say?
He says, I'd love to. Didn't you just say to Laura or somebody that
Yeah, you said to Laura you were going to be home after 3 weeks and just working the farm. So right away, he took a job without conferring with the family. So his comment to Laura?
Lying. Why? Because you said I can't wait to be home and play and have time with the family and like do farmy things. And now all of a sudden he's committing to a half a day where he's not anywhere near home because he loves his family so much he's got to go work at the well. Work at the will. Work at the mill.
So now he gets home that evening and he's got that pep in his step again and says, hey, where are the children? I put them to bed early.
Now, she put them to bed early because he was grouching at everyone because this arrangement that he had made him so grumpy. And now he found out he made a whole whopping 50 cents. He comes in, the kids are in bed. What does he start doing? He's playing the fiddle.
Yep, plays the fiddle and it says, have I really been that bad? Okay, I'll listen. I'll go up and talk to the children. So he goes up and talks to the children and tells them this whole story about the grumpy farmer and really bit off a lot and working really hard. But you know what? The work is all done, or just about.
No, he said it's almost done. Like he corrects himself. Almost done. So this is like only partial lying because really when we see how much this was a lot of work that was left undone.
Right.
The roof is done. He's starting to earn money at the mill, yes. But was it all done? No. And he says, you know what? I've been such a grump. Well, really, he doesn't admit that he was a grump. He tells a story about a grumpy farmer.
Right. But in all of this, and then says, guess what? Instead of me finishing this job and ensuring that everything is set up, let's go on a family picnic tomorrow.
And why? Because he misses spending time with his family, which I'm going to call lying, because he just told Mr. Hanson, like, how long ago, that I would love to work afternoons for you.
Okay, so they go on this picnic, and they're running down this big hill, and they got the food, and they're sitting on the blanket. Next thing you see, there's Charles kind of flying a kite. So what did the family say to that?
They were like, we didn't know he could fly a kite. So he's flying this kite, and he got it really high up there. It was kind of impressive. Everyone's just sitting on the blanket watching him. And then, of course, he gets it stuck. Where does he get it stuck?
He gets it stuck in a big 100-foot tree that looks like it's half rotted out. So all these people are watching him and saying, I didn't even know he could do that. Don't worry, I'll get it. So he goes to this tree, starts climbing this tree, and you can see in the close-up shots that half the branches are rotted right through. And next thing you know, he's about halfway up there, and what happens?
Well, before that, we can see that it's actually the actor climbing,
else.
And then it is very clearly not him. And he goes to reach for a branch, and the next thing you know, he falls out of this big tree about halfway up and crunch on the ground, and then you see him laying there.
Yep, so this is going to bring our first cry-in.
Yes, because Ma screams, ah, because he's crying in alarm. She goes running over, and who does she say? Now, what's Mary here for? Like, I'm watching this as an adult, and I'm like, she's the oldest child, right? Laura's like, what, 2 or 3 years younger than, I want to say?
She's 2 years younger.
2 years younger than Mary. So who, in a crisis, who does Ma cry for?
Laura, go get Doc Baker, hurry.
No, she says, go get Doc Baker and Mr. Hanson and a wagon. Let's give her as many friggin' things to do. She's got to run on her own 2 feet because that's the only transportation they have. How is she going to get all this if she manages to do it too, which is impressive?
So we find out later as Doc Baker's got him back in his bed and Mr. Hanson's there, and they're both scolding him for a plumb fool to go climbing a tree like that.
Yeah, yes, and especially we also realize as adults, one day if he had just postponed this picnic for one day, all the rest of this episode would have been unnecessary.
But we find out at this point, as he's getting wrapped up, he's got 4 broken ribs and can hardly move, and he needs to stay in bed.
At least a week. So now at this point, they haven't really told us. They've just kind of like moved the story along. We're thinking he's at the end of the 2nd week. or close to the end of the second week. Now he's got a week where he has to stay in bed because the doctor told him he had to stay in bed. And Mr. Hansen knew about it because he was standing at the end of the... Why
Yep.
Mr. Hansen?
And
Hold on a second. I want to take a break for this. Why Mr. Hansen, of all the people that you're going to call... to go, I understand Doc Baker. I understand get a wagon because what are we going to do with this guy? We got to lift him up now. We don't know what's wrong with him. We have to get him off the ground under the tree.
Maybe it was because Mr. Hansen was now his boss.
Yeah, but he paid off. Mr. Hansen has no skin in the game anymore. He actually owes them money.
Mr. Hansen has skin in the game because now Chaz is going to work for him half days.
Oh, he just lost a potential employee, and both of these adult males are standing there scolding him, and you can see Ma's over there looking at them like maybe he'll listen to them, because when I said this to him, he sure as heck wasn't listening to me.
Yep, and then Mr. Hansen says, "Don't worry, I'll talk to Mr. O'Neill about stacking the grain. You'll be fine." Well, let's fast forward, okay?
So
There
now-
we show now Ma, not only does she have to pick up the farming work that he can't do, but still run the house and take care of the kids and cook and clean and wash.
Yeah, but run the house also includes baking in a fire, like a little thing on the side. A little thing on the side of the fireplace, and then she's got to take care of the animals. She has to walk into town to go sell eggs so they have money. She's out there, she's sweating, she's sore at the end of the day, and he tells her no more harrowing, and she says, if God understands farmers, then God understands farmers' wives. So she took his words and she went pow right back in his face with it.
Right, so here she is. She's outside, she's got the oxen, she's harrowing, and who shows up but Mr. O'Neill?
Now, she seems very happy to see him. Oh, hello. She really doesn't seem like she's intuiting that there's any kind of problem
To
here.
which Mr. O'Neill says, your husband was contracted to do a bit of work for me, and I'm sorry to say there's a lot of it that's still not done, and then whips out of his pocket the chattel mortgage.
And he hands it to her, and she looks very stressed out. She really didn't get much time to read it. I wasn't sure who ended up. We find out later he took the paperwork back.
Yes, but the look on her face said she didn't know about this.
We are feeling that she did not know that their oxen were just forfeit, and he pretty much said he didn't do the work, and now these are mine. And the day really was the next day, but I don't think she had enough time to look at
Took
it.
the oxen back. Okay, now she's inside yelling at Charles because he now all of a sudden he can get up out of bed and put his clothes on. And she goes, "Where are you going?" "Oh, we're gonna have another conversation, me and Mr. O'Neill." He says, "I wish I never signed that document." "Well, you did sign it, and there's nothing we can do about it."
Yeah, she's very maudlin
To
about
which
this.
the whole speech from him comes about them being in Kansas and then coming over here.
And this
What
is
did
not.
he say?
This happened in Kansas, and this is not happening to me again. Me again. You. It's not just you,
Yeah.
Charles. It's you and your wife and 3 kids and a dog and 2 oxen. Right? I mean, and the chickens. Look, everybody's like, you
Yeah,
know, you
this
just
happened to
fly
me.
with the wind, and everybody's got to follow. So he goes into town, and he's trucking up this hill. Like the
Yes.
kids are following him, and he's got. I mean, you got 4 broken ribs here.
4
You
broken
got
ribs.
4
and he's,
broken
and he's,
ribs.
And he's dusting his healthy kids.
They're running after him, and I mean, these kids run everywhere in
So
the
now
series.
they get into town, and then you see the kids run up behind just as Charles is meeting up with Mr. O'Neill. And what's Laura doing?
crying. And what's Mary doing?
Staring.
Crying, staring. They're both looking. So now we have crying. So we've got Lyin and Cryin in this episode.
Yep.
And he's going to get this grain. And what does he do? He takes this 75-pound looking bag of thing, and he climbs all the way up to the back top of the wall.
But this is where we find out in his conversation with Mr. O'Neill, "Let me see that mortgage. Ah, 'tis the dates you're worried about." This is where we find out he repossessed him a day early.
Yes, that is an important point. He repossessed him early. They had technically until midnight.
Yep.
But the guy figured, you're so hurt, there was no way.
Yeah.
And you know what? I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with him, because Charles
Yeah.
made no arrangements to have this work done by anybody else in any
Right.
capacity
Right.
to make this thing. He just figured, well, the doctor said I'm sick. This guy will be fine with it.
Yeah, so here we go. I got a lot of stacking to do. He's going to get this all done by midnight. And this is where you find out there's somewhere between 60 to 100 bags
We were counting.
of all this wheat grain sitting outside, and those bags were at least 60 pounds, maybe as close or up to 100 pounds.
Not only that.
Yeah, so he's going to drag these bags, and he's already sweating like a pig, and he's trying to stack one. Okay, I got one, and let me just drag this other one. And keep in mind, the whole town's watching at this point.
And we see them. They pan around. Like we see them all, just grown people.
But they're just standing there.
Just standing there staring, and their kids are staring.
He's dragging this bag up to the top, gets all the way to the top of all places, and then takes a header right off and lands and crashes on the floor. Now the kids come running in. Oh, Pa! So what does he say to the kids?
Go home.
I want you to go home. And Laura says, we'll do it.
But she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen at all. Now, they're crying. Both of them are crying. They're over their father, who's harmed on the ground now because he was already harmed to begin with. He fell down, and now they're dragging two kids to one bag. They're dragging the grain over.
Two kids to one bag. Now, here's the funny thing. Now that the kids are doing it, now all of a sudden you see all the townspeople walking across the street, and they just show up at the building, and I think it was the blacksmith, grabs the bag from the two kids and starts stacking it, and now they have a line formed, and we counted how many people?
So we counted 10 people, I think, walking towards it, and only 8 people in the actual area. And while this O'Neill guy is trying to explain, I was going to give the mortgage back. Once I saw the kids trying to help, I was going to give the oxen back. I was going to do all this thing. And they just ignore him, and they keep stacking the grain, and everything is great. And you're supposed to feel the music swells, and he had a harvest of friends.
He
and
got the oxen back, and then they show him walking home. And that's when you hear Laura say at the end that Pa said that instead of planting a harvest of wheat, he discovered that he planted a harvest of friends, to which I'm going to say he just planted a harvest of debts.
A harvest of debts, because now all these people, why did their day have to be interrupted by poor planning on your part? You could have had somebody talk to something about something to try to get this somewhat done before you knew you had an obligation, and instead he just laid in bed thinking, well, I got a doctor's note, I'm good. And then he loses the oxen. Okay, which is literally the reason why he got up with these broken ribs that he could puncture a lung with, was so that he could get this one essential piece that you signed a document that now you lost them. So this is the perspective of watching this as an adult, where as a kid, I was thinking like, wow, he's so great, and look at how the whole town came together. But really, half of this could have been avoided if you just took him out of the show. They all would have been better off sometimes.
Yeah, let me just say, I still like the show.
I do.
I still think they did a great job. And yes, it does portray, a hardworking family. But, from the view of an adult and somebody who knows about children and raising children and watching all of this happen, this is where I just say, do better.
Do better.
Do better. Next time, finish your work before you go take a picnic.
A day, right? He took the celebration before he reached the finish line, and then was, just like, oh well, it's okay. It's like, okay, you pledged the most important thing you need to farm
before you climb a 100-foot tree to retrieve something that you probably made from scraps back out of the barn. Stop and think: is this really the best move?
Well, and I mortgaged the oxen. Like, could you at least let your wife know? This impact. He kind of runs this whole thing. He runs around like everybody else has to do for him, and that he's the most important thing ever.
All right, so if we were to tally it up, we definitely have quite a bit of lying.
We have lying.
We got some instances of crying.
We have some instances of crying.
This one did not have any dying. See, if he'd actually punctured a lung when he took the fall, either from the tree or from the sacks of grain, there would have been dying.
That is a good point. There was potential dying in this episode. No actual dying, though. Not everybody stayed hale and hearty. The only one that really took a beating in this episode.
Yes, he did. And that's going to wrap it up for Harvest of Friends. Tune in next week where we get into episode 2, Country Girls.
Oh, okay. And this has been the Two Luckies podcast. Two Luckies giving you our series of Dyin Cryin and Lyin.
Dyin Cryin and Lyin.
Yep. Two Luckies.
The podcast.
Two Luckies podcast.
podcast. Two Luckies, the podcast.